When you review something, you're giving your audience details about your experience, so that they can get a sense of how something may be to use or own. The thing with this though is that we are all different. We all have different experiences, and things that may stand out or be important to one person may not be that important to someone else. I think this is one of the benefits of the audio community having so many different reviewers. Everyone has different things that may stand out to them with a given product, as well as differing experiences or backgrounds that they may come from. I think that this can give a good wide view on something for the audience, seeing where different views may overlap and where some may differ. And there's still always a sense of respect because we know that everyone is different and having multiple takes can be beneficial for the end user. Well then, I myself am quite new to reviewing on YouTube. So, what's my background with music and audio? And where do I put a lot of focus when I review devices? I'll try to answer that, as well as any other questions that you have asked through YouTube, Twitter, or Discord. Now, starting off with questions relating specifically to reviewing headphones and IEMs. First question is, how do I evaluate headphones and IEMs? Now, obviously the most important factor that I consider is the sound quality in a general sense. The overall tuning and balance, if it sounds harsh or fatiguing to me, pretty much the initial impression and a long-term listening experience if it sounds good at first and I don't feel like I have to take them out after a while. Now, the comfort and seal is what I would weigh in as the next important factor. Arguably, seal could be rated even higher, as a bad seal in an IM or some headphones could ruin the entire listening experience. But some headphones may not be as negatively affected by a broken seal, and in some cases I might even be willing to forgive some discomfort with how something might fit if the sound is still quite good. Below that, then I would start to consider perceived technicalities, things like soundstage, imaging, or layering. I used to be a bit more impressed by those a lot when I first started out, but nowadays I see those more as just kind of a bonus, but not the main deciding factor if I like a headphone or not. And finally, the build, finish, and accessories. A well-built headphone or IM that feels good to wear is always a bonus, but there are still plenty of good options that might still feel a little bit cheaper in hand or when you're wearing them, but they're still a good value despite maybe being built a little bit cheaper. So next question is, what music do you listen to? Or what's your background in music? So when I posted my AMA across different places, this was the most common question. I think this is actually quite important to consider when reviewing audio products. Just what do I listen to? I invited people to guess, what does this VTuber anime guy listen to? Well, here are your guesses. First one was J-pop, K-pop, EDM, and the occasional anime OST. Not really. I don't really know many J-pop or K-pop other than what I might have heard of at a party, and I definitely wouldn't really be able to name any. I used to listen to some anime OST when I was in school, but that was quite a while ago now. Next one is a lot of pop. Not really anything current. 90s and early 2000s, I still do. I find myself falling behind on what's popular now. Mongolian ear chant, and I play the didgeridoo. You got me. No, not really. A bunch of hip-hop with the guilty pleasure of K-pop, which still is not really my thing. Hotel California on loop, non-stop. Otherwise, they revoke your audiophile card. It's true, you have to get your card renewed every year with proof that you listen to Hotel California exclusively. Jazz and modern pop. I won't knock it, but it's just not in my main listening playlist. You play guitar, listen to rock, blues, jazz, and occasional electronic music and movie scores. This is definitely the closest one. Okay, so I grew up with quite a mix. On one half of my family, I grew up with a lot of Latin music, and on the other half, I grew up with a lot of rock. I myself am also really into electronic music from the 90s and early 2000s. So what I generally listen to when I'm just enjoying music on my free time or at work is usually a mix of all of that. Although, when evaluating headphones and IEMs, I will tend to use more modern music, movie scores, and instrumental orchestral music as well to evaluate headphones. If I'm just listening to music while being productive on a computer, then I'll usually just listen to electro swing remixes, since I feel that I can still focus on what I'm doing easily while listening to those. For instruments, I started playing the clarinet in school band, and that's where I learned to read music as well. But by the end of the second year in band, our drummer left, so I ended up filling in for that, and I've been mainly playing drums ever since. I also grew up with a lot of family members who play guitar, so I grew up around that, although I don't play guitar myself. Alright, so opening up to more general questions. Why did you get into audio? So I've always been into music. Through my entire time in school, I would have headphones or earphones in, usually listening to Daft Punk Discovery. My family were also a big influence. My dad always liked to play music loud at home, as well as when I was a little kid and I worked in my grandpa's workshop. My grandpa would always have his stereo playing with AC/DC or Stevie Ray Vaughan. But most of my life, I hadn't experienced much in terms of good quality headphones. And it wasn't until a DangPod's video was recommended to me a few years back that I got an initial impression of that there were better headphones. After that video, I got a recommendation for a video from Metal571, and I started watching all of Metal571's video reviews, and then discovering more audio and headphone channels, and I was hooked by then. Do you have any other hobbies besides audio? Well, I have a big interest in virtual reality, and I've been invested since the Oculus dev kits. I've owned, used, and reviewed a lot of headsets, but it does get expensive. And now I just seem to enjoy the gear that I have when it comes to VR. I did also start to get into watches very briefly, but I lost interest since I found I was just always wearing my cheap Casio F91 every day, and it seems like a really easy way to lose money fast, much more than headphones. Favorite band or artist? It's always been Daft Punk, especially Discovery, my favorite song being Very Disco. What's your job? I'm a flooring installer. What gear do you use most? Well, at my desk, I use an HD600 most. When I'm in bed and just watching YouTube, I tend to still use my Soundcore Live Q30 the most, just EQ'd closer to Harman. And when I'm out, I tend to use whatever IM I'm reviewing at the time, or just one that I happen to enjoy. And I think that's it. Thanks everyone for watching and supporting this channel. If you have any additional questions, you can feel free to comment below. See you next time.